You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
Sports Coma with Big Q and the guy, and we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sports talk from your favorite sports family. I'm Big Q, and joining us via Skype is DC in the building. What's going on, DC?
I don't know, man. What is going on, man? What has the world come to?
I'll be honest with you, brother. As far as the Saints are concerned, it's season getting off to a kind of rocky start with this whole Mark Ingram thing, which is the story of the day for Saints Nation. It's Mark Ingram's suspension. And you know what? They said, according to the article written by the NFL.com that I'm reading, it said that the Saints were aware about this impending suspension for several weeks.
Brett Scott.
I'm gonna be honest with you. They must have kept it. That was a total indoor secret because there was nothing indicating such a thing about Mark Ingram's impending suspension. But you know what? I knew
except the running back they drafted in the 6th round.
But you know what? We knew something was going on. We had our antennas up because I know we kept speaking about, you said trade him because he got 1 year left on his contract. I kept saying, why not look at Geis if he falls to you? Well, Geis was he was there until when? When did he get picked up? In the third?
He was there in the 2nd round. I guarantee if he'd have been there in the 3rd round, they would have picked him. But he was there in the 2nd round, man. He fell all the way to the Redskins.
So
because he was immature. He likes to play video games like no other NFL players play video games.
Obviously, they punishing him because he spoke out.
It's crazy.
He spoke out.
Oh, because he said they asked gay questions?
Yes.
For that?
And I'm pretty sure they told him, don't say that. Don't go out and tell them we asked these questions. Because the NFL did an investigation and found out that no, it wasn't the truth. And the man just not going to come out and say, they asked me a question about, you know, am I this or that? You know, that he's not just going to make that up. So obviously they punished him because he put that kind of, he told them what they asked him about, and then all this foolishness about him being immature and he liked to play video games. They got guys in this draft that went ahead of him that were women beaters, that had severe, charges on them that went ahead of them. They had some guys that went ahead of him that had racial slurs attached to their names. But yet and still, he drops because of that. So, yeah. But anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Let's get more into Saints-related matters in terms of Mark Ingram's ban. We'll get to that in just a second. We'll cover Coby Fleener's. This is not really news. It's really O's, if you want to think about it. It's O's. It's not news. But Coby Fleener finally, the Saints finally released his butt, and they saved $3 million.
What? I'm so shocked.
And of course, we'll get into that story as well. And the Saints also released 3 or 4 other guys. We'll give their names out as well when we get into this story. And then we'll talk about the top 100. DC has some information we'll reveal about the top 100. Get more in depth about the very stupid ratings of both Marshon Lattimore and Michael Thomas as they are rated in the 80s, which is stupid. They have Odell Beckham Jr., who is.
They got so many wide receivers better than Michael Thomas. It's just so many.
And one that didn't play. And this is not a thing that's done on potential. This is something about production. What production did they have in that year? But you know what? If that's the case, we might as well throw their foolish 100 rankings out and just do our own. Bottom line.
We just need to start putting Hall of Famers who don't even play no more on the list. Like Jerry Rice should have been on there. Dion should have been on there. You know, and the list goes on. It don't matter if you played last year or not. You know.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into that. We're gonna have you to break it down a little further because I know you have some insightful things that you want to throw in there in that conversation. But let's get right into it on podcast 190. That's right, episode 190. Thank y'all for joining us on the Sports Coma today, and we're gonna get right into it with this whole Mark Ingram situation. Reported by NFL Network that the Saints knew about Ingram's suspension before the draft, and they kept a real tight-lipped approach to it. Of course, they did take the young running back in the 6th round, but eventually we all knew they were going to take a running back at some portion based upon Mark Ingram's contract situation coming into it, and the fact that last year was his first full year without being injured. And the Saints probably would need a reliable back behind Ingram and Kamara because so much of their offense operated. Well, obviously, when you look at it, let's break into the article and read it. Let's check it out. New Orleans Saints are without their top rusher for the first quarter of 2018. Mark Ingram has been suspended by the league without pay the first 4 games for violating NFL policy on PEDs, performance enhanced substance. The league announced Tuesday.
Enhancing drugs, right? It's PEDs.
They said performance enhanced substances. Ingram, who led the Saints in rushing last season with 1124, is eligible to return to the Saints' active roster on Monday, October the 1st, following the team's September 30 matchup against the Giants. Now, the games Ingram will miss, in addition to that game, will be the Buccaneers game, the Browns game, and a very important Falcon matchup. While the pending 4-game suspension, Ingram is allowed to participate in off-season and preseason practices and in games, but of course, when the regular season kicks in, so does his ban. Now, he hasn't been around the team facility during the voluntary off-season conditioning. However, he won't be around for the voluntary. He hasn't been around the facility for voluntary off-season conditions as well. So Rappaport adds that the suspension has hung over Ingram for several weeks, and the Saints were aware of the situation before the league's annual 3-day selection process. Now, quote, they did know before the draft, Rappaport said, quote, they never quite can tell if a player is going to win an appeal or not. He's been battling this for the last several weeks. He found out today he did not win his appeal, end quote. NFL reporter Rappaport pointed out that Ingram is heading into the final year of his contract and desires a new deal, even with the presence of Alvin Kamara as NFL's reigning offensive rookie of the year. Now, of course, the absence of Ingram for the first 4 games is a blow to the Saints' potent ground game, which finished the 2017 season ranked 5th with 129.4 yards a game. Now, Ingram and Kamara became the first teammate duo in league history to reach 1,500-plus scrimmage yards in a single season. To each of them reach 1,500 apiece scrimmage. Kamara, who will have his first shot to be featured, rushing, produced 728 yards rushing and 8 touchdowns on 120 carries, averaging an eye-popping 6.1 yards per attempt. He added 826 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns on 81 catches. And, of course, this is, quote, they're going to be go in the direction of Alvin Kamara anyway. Clearly going to be the future guy on offense, end quote, Rappaport said. But obviously, Mark Ingram is a nice 1-2 punch for Kamara, and now they will not have him for the first 4 games of the 2018 season. Now, the Saints lineup of running backs look like this. Of course, we know about the selection of Law Tech running back Boston Scott in the 6th round. And then you have Daniel Lasco, who's coming off that really crucial injury. You have Jonathan Williams, who came over during the season from Buffalo as a signee, and Trey Edmonds, who was actually the 3rd back behind those 2 guys that's on the roster as well. So the question is, that's the article. Going into it, the fact that the Saints did know about Mark Ingram's PED situation. Moving forward, DC. Now, there are some options the Saints can go with. We heard kind of chatter about, the guy, what's his name, the running back from Dallas who played with the Titans.
DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, with Murray. We heard chatlins about that. We heard chatlins about other things.
Chitlins? You said chitlins or what you talking about?
Chatlins and chitlins. So the bottom line is,
it's a bunch of womp womp.
Right. The bottom line is, what direction do we go here? Do we stand pat and just work with what we got, or do we go out in the free agent market and see if we can dig up something to kind of compensate until Mark Ingram gets back from that 4-game ban?
I think it depends on what the organization sees in Alvin Kamara. If they think he can hold up to the excessive workload for those 4 games without risking an injury, I think we stand pat and use some of the guys on our rosters to kind of fill in when he needs a breather, to be not necessarily a change of pace back, but just a guy to give him a break when need be. If they don't feel that Alvin Kamara should take that type of punishment, then I think we go out and look at a guy like DeMarco Murray, possibly, if he's willing to play for not a lot of money, or maybe even consider bringing AP back for 4 games. I don't know.
AP is a free agent. That's no doubt about it. And for 4 games, that's interesting, to say the least, because, of course they knew about him. But I'll be honest with you, Mark Ingram, this doesn't bode well for the Saints signing him. Of course, when they usually get this, similar to what happened with Kenny Vaccaro.
Yeah.
When he was doing his thing, and then he kind of fell in the doghouse with the Saints when he suffered his 4-game suspension at the tail end of the season. That was what was it, last year?
Basically lost his starting job. He went from being our starting safety to Von Bell actually starting, and he filled in on that 3 safety role.
Yeah, that relegated him to a bench backup guy in the secondary, no doubt about it. Now Mark Ingram, this is his last year on the contract, and now you get this ban. Of course, there's still a third indicator as well. Now, we mentioned free agency getting the back. We also mentioned standing pat, but there's a third option as well, is if he appeals this situation. Of course, they said he appealed it and he failed. Can he double appeal? Can he come back with another appeal and see if he can kind of hold it off through the, like what happened with Jerry Jones and the running back?
So you can appeal. You can appeal your appeal.
I don't know if he can appeal his appeal. I don't think he can appeal his appeal, but they're saying that. According to this, he said he failed his appeal. Okay, I see. He found out he did not win his appeal. So, no, the suspension is going to stand, so that we don't, I guess, to correct myself, we don't have that third option. So, it's only those 2 options. So, there we go. The Saints.
That's amazing. We never heard about this at all, man. And it went through an appeal process and everything. That's pretty good work by the Saints front office, I have to say.
Yeah, they can kind of, I guess, some of the administration, the president's administration, could take some of the Saints the way they hold secrets. There ain't no leak in the building for that. That was major news. And the fact the Saints were confident in Mark Ingram beyond that, to not let, to still not get a back higher than, which is needed. Right. So it would have been really prevalent for them.
Extremely confident in Alvin Kamara.
Maybe overconfident, not saying that it's not warranted to be overconfident in the guy that puts up those kind of numbers, but this is the NFL. When he comes back next year, teams are going to key in on him because he's no longer a team secret. People are going to recognize him as something. It's going to be a lot more difficult for him to produce those kind of numbers, especially if he's in that and he's a single back missing Mark Ingram for those first 4 games, who can kind of take some of the pressure off of him in that mixture. So it's going to be kind of difficult those first 4 games, depending on what they do at the running back situation. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be difficult at all. If you paid attention during the season, after about week 9, teams were keying in on him anyway. That Atlanta game, their whole thing was to put him out, and that was in December. And they realized what he was, and our offense looked totally different with him out on the field. But this year, we've already made additions to not have to rely on him the way that we did last year, as in being vulnerable if he's not able to, be what he was, or if he gets hurt, or if we have problems at running back, period. I think the Saints have set themselves up to be able to play or be the most balanced team in the NFL. We can go back to that passing set if we need be, or we can run the ball. So I think they're kind of getting back to their old identity and meshing it with the new this year. So I think they'll be fine.
Right. Well, that's the thing. We're going to go into our break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a little bit more on the other side of the break. We also talk about the Coby Fleener release and finally other people that were released as well. And we're going to cover that top 100 news about Thomas and Lattimore on the other side of the break. Listening to the Sports Coma. Stick with us. What's up, sports world? This Big Q from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Talking to you about the website, theposhlifestyle.com. That's right, poshlifestyle.com. A great website where you can get great products at great prices. They sell organic herbs, vitamins, supplements, water filters for your home, EMF and cell phone radiation protection, healing magnetics and healing crystals, personal protection devices like cell phones, stun guns, and mace spray, organic deodorants, shampoos, soaps, toothpaste, and more. They also sell 10A grade Brazilian hair. 10A music is available now. All kind of the latest downloadable mixtapes. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to theposhlifestyle.com. That's the Posh Lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, LYFE style.com. Put in the Sports Coma for the 10% discount on your purchase. It's a win-win. So get your mind and body right with the Posh Lifestyle.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Eye View, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans.
Attention, everyone.
Get breakdown on games, free agent signings and potential moves, unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Wow, what a huge honor it is to be named NBA 2K18 Legend Edition cover athlete. I really wouldn't be here without the guidance, love, and support of my mom and dad. Also, I'd like to thank my coaches, both college and professional. But most of all, I'd like to thank Kobe Bryant. He was the NBA 2K Legend cover athlete first. He's so awesome and handsome and has really nice natural teeth. Wait, what? I'll be looking at his teeth. This ain't over, Kobe. Payback's gonna be fun.
NBA fans, NBA League Pass is your ticket to all of this season's action. Every exciting matchup. Every incredible shot. Every big moment, every game live and on demand in HD quality on every type of device. Wherever you are, whenever you want. NBA League Pass has you covered. Sign up today.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma. Big Q and the guy. We're breaking down this Mark Ingram situation. Banned for 4 weeks, the first 4 games of the 2018 regular season. He can basically participate in everything else but those first 4. That's not a good look for Mark Ingram. Saints kept it in-house for several weeks, according to reports. And now they had to draft, and so it wasn't a blindside move, pretty much a blindside move for the fans. But the administrators knew what Ingram was facing. They were either confident in his ability to win the appeal. Perhaps they did get Bo Scott out of Law Tech in the 6th round, but perhaps, we had Darius Geis. Some say the second best running back in the draft. Some say, he at some points he was better than the guy out of Penn State, Barkley. But either way, the Saints they were able to acquire Bo Scott with the 6th round pick. We expect Bo Scott to play some minutes. And we also expect them to look at doing things differently in terms of Mark Ingram. They have to be able to make adjustments with Alvin Kamara. DC says that they won't skip a beat. That Alvin Kamara will come in, he will play, and he will be effective, and the Saints will continue to be a dangerous team with Mark Ingram without Mark Ingram, and Alvin Kamara operating in the running back chair, the starter position. So says DC. Me, on the other hand, I love Alvin Kamara. The Saints are my team, but I'm a realist as well. The NFL is a professional league. These guys get paid millions of dollars to stop other people. I do not think he will be as effective as he was this year, especially without those first 4 games, without his sidekick, Mark Ingram. I shouldn't say sidekick.
Got a question for you, Big Q.
Hold on, let me finish my thought, brother. But I don't think he'll be as effective without Mark Ingram to bounce a lot of that off. And that's just my take on that. So we're going to just have to go ahead. But what's your question, brother?
If he won't be that effective in his second year without Mark Ingram, please tell me what happened to Michael Thomas without Brandon Cooks. Please explain that to me.
2 different positions, brother. I'm talking
same principle, please.
It's not the same principle.
Skill
because
position. Same principle.
No, it's not. You have 2 running backs that mirror each other, that play well. Brandon Cooks and Michael Thomas, it wasn't the same camaraderie. It wasn't the same situation. And these guys are basically starters operating at the same time, doing basically the same things. They were a perfect complement to each other out there.
Cooks and Michael Thomas.
They were not perfect complements. If that was the case, they would have had broken wide receiver records like these guys broken running back records.
Well, they both had 1,000 yards receiving.
Did they break any records? No records, brother. It's not the same.
They both had 1,000 yards receiving and about 8 touchdowns.
That happens every year. That's
easily
nothing.
Had the same amount of production.
That is DC. Listen, that is not nothing new. They have receivers every year. Both wide receivers have 1,000 yards in the year. That's nothing special. So
that is special for the Saints.
That's not special for the league, is what I'm saying. We ain't talking about the Saints.
Before that for the Saints, and it ain't happened after.
I don't care about that. What I'm saying
for everybody in the league because they don't spread the ball around.
I don't care about that for the Saints. I'm talking about shattering records in the NFL. What Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara did, shattered records. It was never done before. We're not talking about 1,000 yards per receive for the Saints. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact.
But we're talking about 4 games. We're not talking about the whole season.
We listen.
I'd be more concerned if it was the whole season.
You better be concerned about 4 games because 4 games. If you don't win those 4 games, you can be in a hole for the whole damn season. And the Saints offense.
You're not gonna lose all 4 of them games because Mark.
Listen, the whole situation is based on
defense. You got special teams. You got passing. You got
the Saints are still a team that operate with their offense. If the offense don't go, the team don't go. Bottom line. That's why
so you mean to tell me without Mark Ingram, the Saints offense won't go?
What I'm saying, it will go, but it won't go as well as it went if he was in there. That's obvious.
Of course, we're a better team if he in there.
So what is you talking about when we talk about Alvin Kamara that you won't skip a beat?
We're not going to be a better team.
You the one talking about who won't skip a beat.
They're not going to miss much without him in 4 games.
That's not realistic. And when people come out, when the rest of the NFC South people come out, they've been gearing up. Look at Tampa Bay's draft and what they've been doing, getting ready for the Saints. Everybody's been gearing up, getting ready to see how they're going to come.
Running the ball on Tampa Bay.
We can't talk at the same time. Can't talk at the same time. This is the bottom line: is that Mark Ingram, without Ingram there, the Saints will skip a beat. That's the bottom line. It was like Alvin Kamara won't take over everything and we'll be totally fine without him. If that's the case, we wouldn't have needed Mark Ingram from the get-go. But the whole reality of the situation is that Mark Ingram has put the Saints in a precarious situation where the Saints put themselves, because they knew about the situation, should have been bolder in picking up a replacement because, honestly, let me ask you this. Do we honestly think that the Saints going to re-sign Mark Ingram at the end of the year? Do you honestly believe that they're going to resign him?
And that's what I'm telling you. They're not going to resign him because he's going to want more money. If we could get him back for relatively what we're paying him now, they probably would resign him to a 2-year deal or something. But the fact that he's going to want more money, they're not going to resign him. And we already have somebody on the roster or some bodies on the roster that could potentially fill in. We're going to do what we always did, man. We're going to plug and play. And that the running back system has always been a system by committee. So whether we have Mark Ingram or not, we'll be fine because all we need is one star. at the running back position, and we have other guys that have good things that they do, and we lean on what their positives are. That's always been what the Saints have done.
Okay, let me ask you this, brother. Not to cut you off, but let me ask you this. Which one of those stars that you have behind Alvin Kamara that's going to do what Mark Ingram does? Which could you pick out one of those guys that you speak about in the running back room that's going to help out?
I said we have one star typically in the running back committee. There's always one star. Everybody else is guys that can do different things. We find out what their skill set is, and we maximize that to the best of our benefit.
Okay, that sounds better. That sounds better.
He's a north-south runner, so he's obviously might get some time as a first and second down back. Daniel Lasco can do better as well, but we don't know how he is coming back from that gruesome injury he had. And we also have another north and south runner, Jonathan Williams. He didn't look too bad from Buffalo when he was allowed to play. I mean, he had 10 carries, 59 yards, the one regular season game he got in. So, I mean, and then we got Boston Scott, who's very dynamic, almost an Alvin Kamara type. So that Alvin Kamara can run inside. So maybe they add him and let him be a little bit of a satellite back. And you see Alvin Kamara doing some first and second down duties. You never know with Sean Payton. He's going to mix it up, but he's going to use everybody like he always did, man. I mean, before Mark Ingram, we were a pretty good team. After Mark Ingram, we'll still be a pretty good team. It just will change the way we do stuff. And who knows, it might work to our benefit to not make us as predictable as we were last year.
Okay, talk to our fans out there and all the Saints Nation and tell them, and be and try not to be long-winded with it, but explain to the Saints Nation out there why there's no concern, why there's no reason to be concerned about this 4-game ban in which one of the games is against the Falcons. Tell the nation why we shouldn't be concerned about this 4-game suspension from Mark Ingram.
The number one reason that you should not be concerned is that the Saints knew about this post-draft, and they decided to give up a first-round pick from next year's draft to move up to get a defensive end. They don't seem too concerned. The 3rd round, they still had good running backs there. They ain't picked none. 4th round, you still had some names out there. They ain't picked none. They clearly wanted Boston Scott. They're competent in his abilities, what he can do in the special teams. So clearly they must be happy with something they have in-house. Alvin Kamara taking over all the duties for that 4-game stretch. Or maybe they're sold on Boston Scott coming in and sharing some time. So whatever the answer is, I believe we already have it. We've had a number one offense several times with pretty much a poor run game. So 4 games, I don't think that defines our whole season or stops us from any of our goals based on us losing Mark Ingram for only 4 games. The whole season, different story.
Okay, well said, DC. Good reasons. You done calm the crowd down. You done preach to the choir. The church not sitting down. Everybody's happy now. But also, let me add.
We got to give some funeral news.
Right. Well, this is another thing. Let me add to that good breakdown by DC is the fact that the Saints not only going to count on the running backs, but they're also going to use the wide receivers. Remember, Tommy Lee Lewis is a weapon that the Saints don't necessarily always employ like a wide receiver. Sometimes they do use him with tosses and sweeps. And like he mentioned, Bo Scott's a guy that can do those similar things. You got Ted Ginn Jr. that they use with certain packages like
Smith can do that too.
Exactly. So you have different ways.
And Meredith can do that too. We got some versatile guys.
And yes, and you did say Traquan Smith correctly.
Correct.
All right, so that's absolutely the case. So the Saints do have some interesting weapons outside of just the running back position. So let's bear that in mind as we move forward into the season, knowing that and a pissed off Michael Thomas because of his top 100 ranking, which we gonna get to. I know DC is raring at the bit, chomping at the bit to get on the NFL players for this ridiculous listing of talent. Missing at defensive rookie of the year, DC. Defensive rookie of the year, Marshon Lattimore is ranked in the 80s, along with one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, Mike Thomas, who's Odell Beckham Jr., who didn't play that much last year, got a higher ranking than him. That is absolute madness, and people gonna get even more teased off as the rankings get even down further, lower and lower. But anyway, we're gonna talk about Coby Fleener and those stupid player rankings on the other side to break. You're listening to the Sports Coma. Big Q and the guys. Hang with us.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad, G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image. Order your copy today.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artists.
Check out the Crown They Ass World podcast with three kings covering all the news and issues that affect you and the ones you care about, only on the PRO Media Network.
Hello, New Orleans. You're listening to the Sports Coma, your new #1 podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. It's got you covering the Mark Ingram situation. And we're going to rock with DC's commentary. He said, we're going to be fine. Guess what? We're going to be fine. If we're not, then we can always come back and bomb on DC for making that prediction. But anyway.
Well, I said we should have traded Mark Ingram, and everybody was calling me crazy.
No, they was calling me crazy thanks to you, because I wanted to put Elvin Guy. Not Elvin.
But I think they thought you were crazy because you wanted to keep Mark Ingram. That's
Why
what
not?
I think.
You keep them all. You have three great running backs.
He's throwing PEDs, man. Let him go, man.
But anyway, we covered that in the first two segments.
I ain't want to tell on that man, bro, but I knew that. Bro, I ain't want to tell on that man.
Oh, you knew when the Saints knew.
Why you think I was so happy about Boston Scott?
Wow, DC keeping secrets.
You ain't paying none of my checks.
Wow, DC didn't tell us, man. That's cold blooded.
Man, I couldn't put that live, man. That's wrong, bro.
I hear you, brother.
I thought he might get away with it, bro. Plus, I wanted to trade him, so you know.
Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, good reason. I know we was feeling something we was talking, but anyway, that's what happened when you're a little ahead of the curve. You sense certain things. But anyway, let's get into this Coby Fleener situation. Of course, this is not news for us because we've been talking about this for some time. We've been mentioning about the fact the Saints have been adamant about fixing the tight end position, DC. And, of course, Coby Fleener, they finally released him. It never quite built up that camaraderie with Drew Brees. A lot of big expectations were handed out with this man. He didn't even last 3 years into his deal. And the move will be designated as a post-June 1st cut as stated. And it will save the Saints $3 million against the cap, this year's cap. And if
don't cost us $3 million next year though.
Right. If
we
not
ain't saving nothing.
Right. Right. And so Fleener, for the Saints, he has 72 catches for 926 yards and 5 touchdowns in 27 games for the Saints over the last 2 years. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns during the 2016 season and ended the 2017 season on injury reserve due to that concussion when he got laid out. Now the Saints did sign Ben Watson to a 1-year deal. They still have Josh Hill on left. He has a 1-year deal. And Michael, I ain't even trying to pronounce that, he's on a 1-year deal. So Ben, Josh, and Michael all on 1-year deals. And that's why I'm excited to see some of these undrafted guys get in here. Now, of course.
And Yeldon is signed unrestricted free agent, my dude. Yeah.
So you got Yeldon, you got Sarani, thanks to one of those guys out there, one of the
He's
commenters.
Not officially signed yet.
Well, the commenters.
How do we pronounce it?
Serenade, thanks to one of the commenters. I'm giving you a shout out, brother.
Thank y'all, because I was butchering that man's name. I appreciate y'all for correcting me.
We're going to give him a shout out because we was one of the guys who listened to the show, and they say, hey, man, that's not how you pronounce that name. You pronounce it Serenade. So, hey, man, he even broke it down phonetically for me. You know, I appreciate the brother when I get his name.
Was him? That might have been him. That might have been Serenade listening to the show, bro.
And, no, I don't think it was Serenade. It might have been one of his kinfolks, perhaps, but he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did stipulate and tell me the right way to connect it. When I get the brother name, I'm gonna give him a shout out and give him a shout out on here to do it. But anyway, that's right. Coby Fleener's gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead. DC. Coby Fleener is out of here, and that was to be expected. That's not really news, my boy. Oh, Kelvin Thomas. Big shout out to Kelvin Thomas. That's the brother name. Kelvin Thomas. Appreciate the pronounce, my man.
That's name from downstairs, huh?
But anyway, that's the Saints. He's gone. He's out of here. DC, what your thoughts on Coby Fleener? Hasta la vista, baby.
I pretty much knew. I think that was around December. When did he get hurt? When he got hurt and he got took out that game.
Toward the end of the season, I think it was.
Whatever week that was, when he got hurt and I saw how, I was like, yeah, that's pretty serious. I knew it was over. But in Coby Fleener's defense.
There's no defense for Coby Fleener.
I'm going out on a limb here. If he wouldn't have got hurt.
Trigo.
If he wouldn't have got hurt, I mean, just being honest, to give him some credit, he finally had kind of turned the curve a little bit. He was playing good before he got hurt, if y'all remember. When he got hurt, though, and he couldn't come back and perform, the rest of them $36 million that he was owed, I was like, yeah, it's pretty much over for him. So,
how you expect a man to come back and perform, DC, when he got the snot bubbles knocked out of him?
Suck it up and do it. We'll put some smelling salt on him and put him back out.
You're going to need more than smelling the sauce to get him right after that, man.
Snot bubbles for real?
Snot bubbles, brother.
Anyway, I hope, all jokes aside, we clown the hell out of Coby Fleener for like 2 years. But I hope that brother, I wish him the best of luck. And I hope his health is intact because he had a pretty nasty bout with concussions. That was like his 5th concussion. And he had some problems with that. And I hear he's considering retirement. And hopefully he could redeem himself somewhere else. Like maybe the coach should pick him up. But I wish you the best, my friend. But I am not sorry that you leaving.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, and I don't mean to sound cold about it, but shit, he made his money. He robbed the bank and he walking out with all that. So I mean, he walked in better than when he walked out. So I mean, it's hard to feel sorry for somebody that walked in better than they walked out. So I mean, in the end, it was a plus for him, but a minus for us. And this is a little tidbit of information too on that, DC, that they released him with a failed physical designation. So think about that for a second. A failed physical designation attached to his release. Wow.
So when you think about that, I mean, I wonder if we were actually considering keeping him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You know, if he'd have passed his physical, perhaps he'd have made it as far as training camp, where they probably would have gave him another opportunity to try to fend off the rest of them. Right, just to give him another opportunity. But he failed the physical, and they cut the cord on him. But anyway, let's talk about the rest of those guys that didn't quite make it. Along with Coby Fleener being released, they released linebacker Sa Tatatu. A big shout out to Sa Tatatu. He listens to the Sports Coma. Sorry to see you go, buddy, but much luck for you moving ahead. to your next NFL gig. And then the Saints did sign DC's favorite young defensive tackle, and also DC is starting a new fan club in which he's the #1 fan of defensive tackle from South Carolina, Taylor Stallworth, as the Saints did sign him, the big defensive tackle to the team. So there you go. Now to give you a little information.
They signed Deion Yelder too, man. That's my guy, man.
So DC winning all the way around, man. If y'all need lottery numbers, y'all can email DC at the Sports Coma. That's just put in Sports Coma, and DC will send you some lottery numbers to help you win the lottery as well. He can't miss right now.
Send them via Twitter. The Twitter works a lot.
Okay,
quicker.
send it to DC at Sports Coma via Twitter and send them and ask him for lottery numbers. He'll see. Now, don't be mad at them if they don't work now. So
no, they just you got to give me a sufficient amount of time to send the numbers back. Okay, this is a spiritual process. You can't rush perfection.
All right, here's a little information on Sata Tatu. He was signed from BYU. He was a linebacker there, undrafted free agent from last season. Placed on injury reserve following MCL injury before releasing prior to the start of the 2017 season. New Orleans brought back 6'4", 6'3", 245-pound linebacker on their deal in January before cutting him on Tuesday. Stallworth, DC's favorite guy, agreed to join the Saints after the 2018 draft, and his signing was made official Tuesday. The 6'2", 300-pounder started 13 games in the senior season with the Gamecocks. Tight end Alex Ellis, who was waived by the Saints on Monday, was claimed by the Kansas City Chiefs. So he moves from one team to another. Good luck to Mr. Alex Ellis, and good luck to the announcer that has to pronounce his name if he actually makes the team and plays regularly. And also the Saints added tackle John Theus to the reserve injured list after waiving him. So the Saints waive him, then add him to the reserve injured list. So they obviously see something of importance in Mr. John Theus. That's some information. DC, before we move into the top 100 news, I want to throw something at you. I was reading an article from the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com, giving them a shout out. And they had an article saying, when you think about Boston Scott, think Aaron Stecker. What you think about that? Aaron Stecker, that's interesting.
Oh, I read that article, and I think wrong. Like, Aaron Stecker, I mean, he came here, and that short time he was here coming from the Buccaneers, he gave us a nice little spark in the return game. And I don't know, I see Boston Scott as a lot more than that. Aaron Stecker was kind of in the middle towards the end of his career when we got him. And he was definitely a good pickup, and he contributed. But I see Boston Scott is more than that. And I looked at the measurables and the numbers, and none of them add up. Everything I see adds up to Darren Stroles, and with the need that we have on this team, if he's able to run inside, I mean, he basically can be Pierre Thomas. Like I said, as far as the role, with that many, maybe 8 touches a game, kind of how Pierre was once Ingram was still here with Darren Stroles. So I see that type of thing. Aaron Stecker, man, that's kind of reached to me.
Okay, well, we got a few minutes left. Let's go into our top 100 discussion and talk about the fact that Michael Thomas is ranked 81 and Marshon Lattimore is 82. So far, they got down to 71. Now, I looked at some of the cornerbacks as far as Marshon Lattimore is concerned. The next cornerback is Marcus Peters at 7'9", and then the next wide receiver behind that's ahead of Michael Thomas on the list is Odell Beckham Jr. at 77. I know you had a grind to X. We got about a minute, some change. Speak on it quickly with your beef with this listing.
My beef with the listing is supposed to be based on what they did in 2018. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with Odell Beckham because I feel like he's a very tremendous receiver, probably one of the best in the league, if not the best. You can make an argument for that, but you can't tell me, because they slipped up talking about Odell Beckham and saying that everybody's mad because there's 9 other receivers on the list. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So if Odell Beckham is there and there's 9 other receivers, you mean to tell me Michael Thomas is the 10th best receiver in the league according to last year? It makes no sense. It's ridiculous. Same thing with Marcus Peters. They said there's 9 other cornerbacks with Marcus Peters, and so Lattimore is the 10th best cornerback in the league. Hard to believe, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, DC, we're going to have to do a whole show on it. We're going to break it down, and we're going to get DC to do his top 100 the right way and give people the proper credit. But anyway, that'll do it for the end of the Sports Coma for today. We appreciate you for joining us on the show. As always, if you like and enjoy the show, support us by going to the Patreon page, patreon.com/PRO Media Network, and show us some support. But thank you for joining us from me and DC.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is the Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Clear, clean, great-tasting filtered water. We're all thirsty for it. But in the U.S. alone, an estimated 2.5 million plastic bottles are added to the environment each year in search of the perfect drink of water. There has to be a better solution, and there is. Crystal Quest, a leader in the manufacturing of water filtration technology, has been providing clean, drinkable water for 20 years. Crystal Quest has been recognized by such leaders as Consumers Digest, Dr. Oz, and Colin Ingram's The Water Drinking Book, offering our customers the cleanest and most environmental-friendly drinking water at a rating of high purity. With Crystal Quest's water filtration technology, you can rest assured that your water will be crystal clear. Contact our network of authorized distributors and join our thousands of satisfied customers.
Just log into theposhlifestyle.com. Once again, that is theposhlifestyle.com.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Argue, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans.
Attention, everyone.
Get breakdown on games, free agent signings and potential moves, unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.